Yeah, I'm yawning, bro.
It's been a long day for both of us.
No doubt.
But that was a good way to end it.
Yeah, no joke, man. I'm about to tear up. Dude, that was so good.
I felt the waterworks coming, man.
Hold up. Is it? So it's live on here, but it's trying to refresh on the screen, so now I'm confused.
I can try to pull it up on my phone, too.
Sick. Yeah, that was... Wow. That was an experience.
It really was.
They should have released that one in theaters, dude.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff in there that felt like Clone Wars.
Yeah, and Rebels, too. They're definitely...
Yeah, that's true.
But I think more than anything, like, it felt like such a satisfying end to the show, I would say. It felt like season. I hope so. I mean, I guess that we could talk really about that, you know. Now... Ahsoka is stranded on Ahsoka and Sabine are stranded on that planet, and so they seem content with where they're at, which is so scary.
That was weird to see. I know some people were theorizing about that because like where were they during the sequels? But now the question is, where was Ezra during the sequels?
Yeah, I know it. Like now. I don't even know what to think, dude. Like, but I mean, I think we just start off by talking with the ending. So, you know, the whole episode takes place. Thrawn escapes. Ahsoka and Sabine are left behind. Ezra's on board. So Ezra's back in the galaxy, and Ahsoka and Sabine are not. They swap places. At the end of the day, I don't know if I can really call it a successful mission because you know they let Thrawn escape, and now they're stuck where Ezra's gone. So. Or Ezra's back, I guess, and they're gone. But
yeah, they really lost. And we were kind of talking about it being like an Infinity War of this new Star Wars era, and it kind of was.
Yeah, and so, you know, then it starts to kind of close up all the gaps from you know, the rest of the season. So we see Shin. She's now in control of a band of those band of pirates or whatever. So she's making a living, I guess.
I hope she finds herself, dude. I love Shin.
Yeah, I hope she finds herself too. I hope she finds Ahsoka and Sabine.
That's probably gonna happen.
I hope she finds Ahsoka and Sabine because you know maybe with their combined brain power they can get out of the situation that we're in. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Then you know it shows Baylan, and arguably the biggest thing to happen. One of the biggest things to happen in this episode is Baylan is the new father, kind of.
They were hinting at it with him standing on the hand and like the framing of it with him in the front, and then the father, like their heads are like next to each other.
Yeah.
So that's what it seems like, but
and if you don't know what we're talking about, specifically the Mortis gods, like you know, they have the father, the son, and then the daughter, and they have rock carvings of the father and the son, but the daughter, I guess, just doesn't. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, see, I guess the daughter is Ahsoka.
Yeah,
lives through Ahsoka. So, yeah, I guess, and we saw Morai right before.
Yeah,
we saw the carving in the mountain. So, I guess what I got from that is that Ahsoka is like the daughter, and that's maybe why like the head was cut off.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that could be a thing. I'm actually thinking about that right now. Huh.
Yeah, but it's really sad, man. It's really sad that he passed away.
Yeah,
and not even talking about like his role in the show. I mean, as a human, but his role in the show was awesome.
Yeah, I think like it's sad to see the fan reception he's getting too. Like in obviously, once again, like for his family, for everybody who knew Ray Stevenson personally, like, and for all of us, like, it's just sad to see that anybody goes early. But especially now that like his character is not even successful. That's not even what we're trying to say, but just so loved and cherished. Like already to see like the fan reception that he's been getting, it's. I think one thing that people have actually united behind this show was Ray Stevenson's Baylan Skoll.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, but like you said, it's sad at the same time that, he
didn't get to see it.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's devastating. Obviously, on a just in a reality level that we wish he was still here with us, but even as fans, like it's sad that we don't get to see his character anymore because he did a fantastic job of his portrayal of Baylan, dude.
Yeah, and it looks like they're setting up something big for season 2.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. we're assuming there's going to be a season 2.
Yeah, that's really what we need to talk about. So Balin becomes, he becomes one of the new balancers of the Force, I would say. And I think that's an appropriate role for him to stay in as somebody who recently passed away. I think it gives his character a very meaningful end, but also doesn't leave us desiring. It leaves me desiring more, but not to the point where like I feel like his story was incomplete.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it definitely could have. I think that was a good way to end, all in all, with the unforeseen circumstance.
Yeah, for sure. And do not. I wish we could see more, man. He was so good, but I think that's what happened, and then finally we get to see arguably the best moment in the show of all, and best moment of any Star Wars show, dude. I literally almost teared up because Ahsoka and Sabine, they don't make it out, and they're with the Noti that Ezra was with, and they're almost kind of their new protectors, and Ahsoka is staring out into the stars and wondering, I guess, if they're ever going to make it back, and she tells Sabine that they need to move on, and so I'm like, why? Like, you're gonna stay in this galaxy? Like, does it really have to be like this? And then Sabine like turns around and she like senses something, and I'm like, is it like somebody coming back for him or something like that? I was like, surely maybe it's like a space whale dropping out of hyperspace or something. And then Ahsoka looks back and she's like, what is it? And then it just like the camera pans and it's just Anakin as a Force ghost standing and smiling over both of them, dude. I think it's just because maybe I love Anakin so much, but that almost brought me to tears.
It was a perfect way to end the show. Or the season, hopefully. And the way they pan the camera, it was just beautiful. I don't think they could have done it any better, and it almost brought me to tears as well.
Yeah, for as much hype as I talk about the Oppenheimer ending, that's one of my favorite endings of a movie of all time. I think it was so powerful, and I think this... I'm not going to say it was as powerful as that, but I think in terms of like as a Star Wars fan, that has got to be one of the most powerful endings they've ever had in Star Wars. And this is coming from somebody who like, I adore the Clone Wars ending. The way that season 7 ends is quite literally perfect, and I think that the way that this season ends is also, it couldn't have gotten any better.
Yeah.
With as sad as everything was, I think like realizing that Anakin is still, in a way, presiding over it all, and I think that's so cool, especially in one of the things that we talked about a lot before this show was watching these Ahsoka and Anakin tributes, was how like Ahsoka carried Anakin's legacy throughout. Anakin never really died because Ahsoka got to see the best of him, inherited the best of him, and carried it with her, and we actually see that multiple times throughout the show, like with Baylan Skoll talking about it, and then even Thrawn is like, I knew your master, and I'm not going to take any chances. Like, the fact that we get to see the best parts of Anakin live on through Ahsoka is so incredible.
Dude, I agree with that. And also when Thrawn was like, what if you fall victim to the same thing as your master or whatever, like turning to the dark side, that was kind of a cold bar, and they just dipped out.
He's like, long live the Empire.
That was so cold.
Drops in hyperspace. It's, I guess that's another thing we can talk about after, but... So what do you think the state of the show is at this point?
I don't know. I guess Shin, I don't know if they do a season 2 of Ahsoka, it will have to be centered around Ahsoka, you would think, or I guess they could just center it around the characters of this season.
Yeah.
Because I guess they would have to get back World Between Worlds that it's not technically time travel, so. I guess that's kind of eliminated.
Yeah. Space whales are their only hope.
Space whales. I feel like they would try and come up with something different, though.
Yeah.
Like Luke maybe comes through and
now that would be hot. That would be hot. Dude, I just wonder, man, like, obviously Filoni's got a movie coming up, but I don't feel like... I feel like if Filoni makes a movie, it's just a guarantee that Ahsoka's going to be in it somehow.
They got to get back.
Yeah, and so it's not a matter of if, but when, I think. And I really do hope they get back, like, but also at the same time, and this is like, I guess the part of me that's like satisfied with the ending. I would be okay if they never made it back, because I feel like that is at least a satisfying end to Ahsoka's story.
You think so?
In a sense, like the fact that she's now in a different galaxy. No, and it makes more sense as to why she's not. We don't see her in anything else in the sequels. Like, it would close that gap, because I feel like Ahsoka would have been a part of Luke's Jedi Order. I feel like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost, it's hard to write her out of those things. And so it would be hard to write her in those things now, you know? But,
yeah, and I guess too, the thing would be like the theory we were talking about earlier with Balin kind of being the new father of Mortis, and Ahsoka can kind of just preside as the daughter.
Yeah, and so then it makes you wonder who's going to be the son. So
yeah, the only other person there is Shin, but I don't think she fully embodies the dark side.
No, neither. I mean, Sabine too, and she doesn't either. Yeah. So I wonder if they'll pick up, man. I wonder if they'll get off the planet somehow. I hope they do, but also. No, I just hope they do. I think I've changed my mind. Like, I think for right now, I'm satisfied with that. But I think the more that I think about it, I'm going to be like, I really want them to get off that planet.
So that brings up a question, I guess. Do you think at the end of Ahsoka's time in Star Wars, do you think she should die or end up in another galaxy like this and just lives on, but we don't know what happens?
I think with Ahsoka, it's almost kind of like she's almost a myth at this point. Yeah. I think
Ahsoka the White type.
Yeah, it would almost be a disservice to watch her die, I think, and maybe that's just the part of me that just doesn't want to see her die. Like,
I know that would be so weird.
The part of me that's like wants to see her legend live on, but at the same time, like I don't think they can kill her off. I think the myth has to continue somehow.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is about her, but it's just like, it just wouldn't feel right if her character died.
Yeah, see, I guess it makes me think of like Anakin, because in my eyes, Anakin died in like episode 3.
Yeah.
In a way, and then he came back in the end, but he never really technically died in that sense. He became Darth Vader, but I don't know. It would be weird. They would have to come up with something, dude. It would be weird to see her die.
She couldn't die in battle. Well, I don't think she could die in battle. I don't think she could die doing something heroic. I feel like it'd have to be kind of like a Master Yoda type death where...
Yeah, she just fades away.
Yeah, where she's lived a life and it's her time to join the Force, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't think I could... I don't know if I could watch that, dude.
Yeah, I think that's what we could do. They could you know, she could see Anakin in the world between worlds, and before he said, "Are you live or die?"
Mm-hmm.
And then he's there, and he's like, "It's your time now," or something.
Yeah.
And she goes to be with Anakin.
Dude, that would be so awesome.
Because I guess it's gonna happen at some point. I mean, I don't think Ahsoka will be there forever. I mean, even Yoda wasn't. But
I mean, I definitely for sure. But I do feel like there's a I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Batman. Like, Batman is the myth, not the person. And so even if Batman dies, the myth lives on in some other form, some other fashion. And I think that's kind of got to be the case with Ahsoka, is that even whenever she's gone, the myth has to live on. You know?
And that could be through Morai too.
Yeah.
Like, even if Ahsoka's gone, the cat's gone crazy over there. If Ahsoka's gone, then Morai could be flying around and popping in like Morai does now. So
yeah.
And that could be kind of how Ahsoka stays in, but
yeah, it's hard to really compare her character to anybody else that I know, like, or any other character I know, because at the same time, like Batman is a myth, and the whole thing is, the whole persona of Batman is the myth, but Ahsoka is a real character. Like, there's nothing, she doesn't carry any kind of mythos around her, but she still feels like she feels more than just a person, though.
Yeah.
And like more than just a regular character, she feels like this embodiment of something that I can't quite put my finger on.
And it's weird too, because we've seen her since, you know, she was a youngling, pretty much her whole story until now, and also we've seen the future in the sequels, and she wasn't there. So
yeah,
it's weird to think about. I mean, you can't really compare it to anything. So
I think it would have to be the most emotionally gripping scene in Star Wars. I think not, maybe not the most, but it would have to be one of the most emotionally gripping scenes in Star Wars.
They'd have to bring in George and Dave. Those two would have to cook up something.
I mean, and after watching the ending, I mean, I think they did cook.
Yeah,
so
they cook.
I trust them to give me a sappy ending that doesn't feel forced. And I think that was the thing about this too. And obviously the music played a big part as well. Like, Ahsoka's theme, but it had a little bit of a variation on it, and and it was like the music was swelling, and then you see Anakin, I'm like, I just wanted to cry, dude. Sick. But I might have to go back and watch that for real. Like that might be like a mainstay for me, dude. But because I did that with Oppenheimer, dude. I've got Oppenheimer's scene, like final scene saved. I'll go back and watch it randomly. But I think we talked pretty exhaustively about what's going to go forward, at least with the show. What do you think about the show as a whole? That's the big question. We were big believers in this show beforehand. So
hell yeah. I think it lived up to the hype for me.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, I didn't see Anakin being in it this much, and to me, I loved it. Yeah. I know some people have been not loving it so much, but I loved every bit of Anakin screen time. I was hoping we'd see, which I guess we'll see Zeb at some point in the future. It felt a little weird, which I guess they didn't want to throw in too many people at once, but
yeah.
I feel like he would have shown up at some point during the meetings or something since he's involved. But I don't know, Chopper. I kind of want a little more Chopper too.
Yeah,
Chopper. But I guess his little screen time, he hit with it.
Yeah, he definitely did. I agree with that too. But
Thrawn though, not to interrupt you, Thrawn, he delivered, and I'm glad he won. If Thrawn would have lost, it'd been like, they nerfed him. They nerfed him.
I think they were kind of in between a rock and a hard place, where it's like you either have to build up this huge threat in Thrawn and then have him get squished before he even makes it back, or you have to kind of leave our heroes in a place of desolation for now.
Yeah.
And work your way back. So yeah, I think they handled that well.
Yeah, because I think they found the middle ground. Like Thrawn ultimately won, but also like Ahsoka won against Morgan, and Ezra got back. So it was like a kind of too many wins, but Thrawn really won.
Yeah, Thrawn really won. As he said, long live the Empire. every line Lars Mikkelsen delivers is just straight. It's just cold, dude. It doesn't matter what he's saying. I'm always like just
and he
chills.
Just dipped out.
Yeah, chills.
Yeah, he's long live the Empire.
Yeah. He said something, dude, but all of his lines were just like so. They're just so fire. But I think this show as a whole is probably I think in terms of Disney Plus shows, it's got to be right. It's got to be right under. Probably it might be above Loki for me. Like, and that's saying a lot.
In terms of Star Wars, I think it's at the top. Andor.
I love Andor, but I think this show pulls on all the right heartstrings for me.
Yeah, I mean, this is our childhood come to life. And, and I love Mando too, but also I feel like it wasn't as consistent as this show to me personally. I mean, I feel like it
wasn't as consistent as even Andor, I don't think. So, I think in terms of Star Wars content, not even just shows, but content, that's a more interesting ranking there for you.
Yeah, we could do a vid about that.
Yeah, we really could. So, I mean, if anybody's watching or watches this at some point, let us know what you think of that if you wanted us to do a video. I think for me, off the cuff reaction, it'd have to be up there with Revenge of the Sith and Clone Wars. I don't know if I could put it any lower.
Yeah, to me, Clone Wars is still number one.
100%, yeah.
I don't know if that literally can be topped.
Clone Wars it's in a realm of its own.
It's kind of an
outlier. The world between worlds. You only get to see it every once in a while.
Yeah, so that's one. Revenge of the Sith. I don't know. Yeah, this is definitely up there for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all the movies, and then Tales of the Jedi too, Andor, Mando. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, I think this show...
Rebels. I mean,
yeah, exactly. So, there's tons of good Star Wars stuff out there, but I think this show it's what Kenobi could have been, should have been, but wasn't. And I not to compare it to another show, but I just think it was so consistent. It was emotional, but also it had good action. It had great writing. All of the characters translated well from animation to live action. And it just felt very coherent to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing. It's something that we haven't really seen from Star Wars. It felt very coherent from beginning to end, and I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I don't know. It's just hard to say. It's hard to put into words how much I actually really enjoyed it.
And I love how they went into the lore so much.
Yeah, that's another big thing.
I think it wasn't surface level. Like, I feel like a lot of things have been. Mm-hmm. And I feel like everything that Dave did in this held up to like George Lucas's Star Wars and the vision for it. and it went deep into the lore, which I was excited. I mean, I love stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. It definitely felt very rewarding as a Star Wars fan who's been a Star Wars fan since birth, basically. Like, to have a show that really invests in the lore and it has comedy callbacks to other shows and like, for example, when Ezra's making his new lightsaber, and it's the most subtle jab at his own animation, but Dave Filoni was writing and Ezra's like, no, the emitter's way too thin.
Yeah, that was
and everybody's
funny.
biggest gripe with Rebels was how thin the lightsabers were. And so it's just little things like that, but also like the Purgil, to see the Night Sisters back, to see even like
Worlds.
the World Between Worlds, Kujet, Force Ghosts, like we saw a bunch of different things, and Hugh Yang talking about all these different stories in the
3PO,
Jedi.
Leia,
Yeah, 3PO, Leia, Ventress. Like you could go on like forever and ever. All the Rebels characters like Lothal, like the father, the daughter, and the son. Like to have all this like interesting lore stuff that probably the majority of Star Wars fans, not majority, but I'd probably say a good bit of Star Wars fans don't really know about. To have all that in there. Not in a sense to where it makes to people who haven't seen that stuff, it takes them out of it, but just it's like extra stuff for people who have watched it.
Yeah, and I think people who didn't know about this stuff, will be more interested in watching the animated shows, which is a good thing at the end of the day because they're so good.
They're some of the best content I've ever watched.
Too connected to the internet at this moment. Oh, we're back.
We're back.
All right.
It says top messages too, but then there's no messages.
I guess we'll run it back. Do an outro or something.
Do.
It's gonna take a second to come back because it disconnected for a while. I think we're back. Oh yeah, we back.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I guess it's just catching up. So, anyway, sorry. We just had a gigantic lag spike for whenever you get to it.
That was weird.
I think as we wrap up, this show was fantastic. It was a blast to watch. It makes me want to rewatch it in a sense too. And I don't know that I can say that about any Disney Plus show that I've watched. Any really Star Wars show that I've watched yet. So, other than Clone Wars.
Yeah, I think it takes time, but also I was thinking while we were watching it, like this has a high rewatch appeal.
Yeah, because there's so many good things in it, and it doesn't rely as much on shock factor as it does, like, I want to say pure nostalgia, but like...
Well, lore.
And lore, too, like, exactly. So it's more than just nostalgia, but they found a way to build nostalgia into the lore. And I think that was a smart idea because then it blends the best of both worlds. It blends the best of both worlds, but it blends the best of both worlds. So, I'm just thankful, dude. I really am thankful that we got a show that really cared this much. Like, obviously, this is a love letter to Ahsoka fans and really just Rebels fans, Clone Wars fans, Star Wars fans all over the world. So, that's my kind of closing thought.
Yeah, I agree. I would give this show. I mean, it's dang near a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's close to a 10 out of 10.
And once again, like, we're pretty critical. Like, I will say that, especially with Disney stuff, because I think we expect a lot from them because we've seen peak stuff. We're pretty critical, and to be willing to give that rating right off the bat, I think is pretty high praise. So,
yeah, I mean, because, like we said, we weren't that high on Mando Season 3.
Nope.
When Cad Bane so-called died, I don't think he's dead. I was pretty upset about that.
Kenobi, we weren't high on that at all.
Yeah. Parts of Bad Batch, but
yeah.
Overall we like Bad Batch pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think off rip it's close to a 10 for me. So I mean, that's not. It's not like we're giving everything that number. So
yeah, no, not at all. And it's not like we're finding things to dunk on too. I just think this show handled everything so well. And we've been over all the reasons, but this show is definitely one of the best, I think, shows of the year. I'll go that far. I think it's one of the best shows of the year.
And we still got Loki, which is extended in 2 days.
Yeah, we got Loki in 2 days. Be tuned for that live stream. But I just think I don't know any show that I like it more than The Last of Us for sure. And I did love The Last of Us, but I don't know what's gonna beat it, man. I don't think Loki can beat it for me.
Yeah, it's I think Loki is the last show this year the last big one.
Yeah.
For us.
So
there may be something I'm forgetting about.
Yeah. Anyway, but I mean, really, the ultimate, this is our opinion. This is what we think. Obviously, people are allowed to disagree. So if you disagree with us or if you agree with us, let us know. And thank you guys for watching with us. It's been a blast to start live streaming. This will be a regular thing. So we're glad that you guys were with us throughout this. And we hope to see y'all in future stuff. So thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Even though technically this isn't the end of the video, but you get the sentiment. So.